So today I'm going to talk about the theory and what I think to be the real reason Kathleen died, and it does involve an owl. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to Fresh Start Monday. My name's Alex. If you're new to the channel, I cover a lot of different types of things: conspiracy theories, murder topics, serial killers. Making a murder has been on here quite a bit, and I feel like that's where a lot of my subscribers come from. So it's that type of demographic that I try to make videos for. And I just got done watching The Staircase. It's on Netflix. This documentary or docu-series was pretty similar in the sense that it really caught my attention, and there was a mystery to it, kind of like Making a Murder. But before I give any spoilers, I'm going to give you a second to click out of this video because I am going to talk about it. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you going to watch it and seeing what you think about it. So as me and Natalie were watching the documentary, the first couple episodes, I thought Michael Peterson was guilty. I really did. And then as it went on, his genuine sadness and his character, I felt like he was just kind of mischaracterized a lot. In court, they talked about his bisexuality, which was I think a big thing, which convicted him. Because he was seen as maybe a liar or lived another life, or he could change personalities to a certain extent. The images and video in the documentary are pretty graphic towards Kathleen Peterson. You can see a lot of blood. You see her laying there, and what I want to go through first here is the autopsy. And there's a lot of theories as to what happened. Some people think Michael killed her. Some people think she just fell down the stairs. And that's the title of it, The Staircase, because she was found dead at the bottom of the stairs. Another reason that it was so interesting for people was because Michael Peterson was involved with two situations where women were found at the bottom of stairs dead. So that obviously does not look good in front of a jury. There was a guy named Dwayne Deaver. He really fucked Michael Peterson in this case, committed perjury. It's known he lied about what he said in court. It was proven. Michael just never really got justice. Even at the end of the documentary, he had an Alford plea, and that's basically admitting it, but not admitting it, but still admitting it. So like I said, I'm going to go through the autopsy here, and a crazy theory that I do believe is the truth is an owl actually killed Kathleen. So just reading the autopsy here, when you read through it, and if you go into it thinking an owl did this, it makes sense. So on the head, there are at least 7 distinct lacerations on the posterior scalp. Several lacerations are complex, creating avulsions with full thickness lacerations through to the underlying skull. These will be described from right to left. So I know it sounds weird that an owl may have done this, but I'm going to put up pictures here of why it was an owl. There is a tri-prong linear laceration measuring 3 inches vertical, with the upper lateral prong measuring 3/4, upper medial prong and 1/3, and lower prong 1/5. The greatest width of the lacerations is 1 inch. So if you think of an owl and how they have talons, 3-prong, and there was no brain damage on her head, so it makes sense how the cuts were so deep and created such a bad gash, and why there was so much blood along with her falling. I think it caused dizziness for her, and maybe the owl hitting her in the head and attacking her. Initially, she thought she was okay, but she was losing so much blood from her head. As she walked up the stairs, she fell a couple stairs up, hit her head on the back of the door, the frame, slid down, hit her head again on the stair, and that's what essentially caused her death. Plus, she was drinking, so if you think about if you ever like why you can't get tattoos when you're drunk, you're gonna bleed a lot. More alcohol in your system is gonna cause you to bleed. It's gonna flow a lot more if you cut yourself on anything. We'll continue going through the autopsy. 2 1/2 inches medial to the first laceration is another tri-prong laceration with avulsion. This laceration measured 2 1/2 horizontally and 4 1/8 vertically. So back to that last sentence, the width of the laceration is 1 inch. And if you think of an owl's talon, it's not super thick, 1 inch sounds pretty accurate. And just looking at the pictures of her head and comparing it to other owl attacks, it is honestly the most logical explanation. I don't know who brought this theory to light, but it is a pretty damn good one, and I'm pretty convinced that that is what killed her. The owl attack itself didn't, but the fact she was drinking, the fact maybe she didn't think it was that bad until she actually got into the house. I don't know if there was blood found on the way to the stairs. I'm just not sure. I didn't see anything on that. But there are reports now, and it's actually documented, that feathers were found in her hand or around her body, which is pretty crazy. I didn't hear anything about that in the documentary. So as far as the bruisings and the neck injuries, that is consistent with hitting the wall or the frame and falling and hitting the stair again. So in court they were saying she was strangled and beat, and they were trying so hard to say it was the blow poke, which obviously it wasn't the blow poke because they found the blow poke and there was no DNA on it. It's crazy how this is just a case that is really bad luck, especially for Michael Peterson. Might be one of the most unlucky people in the world, just because of the initial case in Germany where the woman died at the bottom of the stairs from a brain hemorrhage. That was proven that he didn't do that, and then his actual wife ends up dying at the bottom of the stairs from an owl attack. He ended up serving 8 years in prison. The whole thing ended up taking 15 years until he agreed to the Alford plea. So if you have not seen the documentary, I highly recommend going to watch it. Go see what you think, give your opinion, and go into it thinking, if I spoil this for you, go into it thinking that an owl did it, and just try to piece it together that way. Because if I would have watched it with that idea going in, it would have made a lot more sense, because you'd go back to it and think, holy shit. Especially looking at the lacerations on her head and how it's consistent with other pictures from owl attacks. Knowing owls, they attack the head when they come down. Another thing to think about is where exactly their house was. It's Durham County, North Carolina. They lived in a heavily wooded area. I'm sure there's plenty of owls in that area. I just think it's the most logical explanation as to what happened, because there's no way Michael Peterson actually did it, and I'm convinced of that. I don't think justice was done at all. It's just a very sad, misfortunate case that had a lot of bad luck surrounding it, and a lot of families and people were damaged by this. So that's my take on it. I'd like to hear what you think. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead, hit subscribe and the notification bell, and I will see you next time.